Another day and another unhinged take from Elon Musk. This time, he claims that Adolf Hitler is a left-wing socialist. An account named Alice Smith initially tweeted this. Hitler was a leftist, and here you have is a list of apparent reasons why. Identity politics, collectivism, statism, command economy, censorship, social engineering, militant activism, gun control, rule by laws, politicization of academia, judiciary, and civil service. I mean, there's so much wrong with that list. It's hard to start with it. I mean, it's not accurately describing the Nazis. And then they're attributing these statements as somehow left-wing. A good third of that list has been heavily deployed by the right wing. I mean, identity politics. That is literally the entire right-wing and far-right political project movement, okay? Do you ever hear them talk about economics? No, it's religion, it's culture, it's race. I mean, the Nazis' entire project was ethnic cleansing. You couldn't get more identity politics than that. Social engineering, that's an interesting one, because conservatives want people to act in their image, in their religion, you know, making same-sex marriage illegal, for example. Trying to make the lives of trans people impossible. Conservatives love big government when it comes to individual liberty. That is social engineering. And the politicization of academia, judiciary, and civil service, I mean, that has to be a joke, right? I mean, conservatives don't stop banging on about the civil service, right? They've weaponized the judicial system. Donald Trump should literally be in prison, okay? And if you had a functioning court system in America and people actually cared about the law, he will be behind bars. Now, academia, again, these people constantly push the idea that education has been captured by the left. And, you know, the left want to censor history. Well, think about it in the context of the UK. Conservatives don't want people being taught by the British Empire. I mean, Kevin Baddock always says, oh, we need to be teaching the positive history of Britain, not downplaying it. No, we should just be teaching the truth, whether it's good or bad. Anyway, Elon Musk, quote, tweeted it and said, Hitler was a left-wing socialist. Now, there's been a fairly long history of people on the right trying to claim that the Nazis were socialists. Their evidence is that they called themselves National Socialists, which means North Korea is a democracy, right? In reality, fascism is the direct opposite of communism, a left-wing ideology. In fact, many fascist movements target communism and communists. I mean, the first people targeted under the Nazi regime, socialists, trade unionists, communists, and even social democrats. Before 1933, the Nazis were very unpopular with workers, who typically supported communists or the Social Democratic Party. Therefore, the Nazis took on a lot of rhetoric of the socialists to win political power. It doesn't mean they are socialist or in any way left-wing. That's just pure far-right slop. But Musk accidentally admitted that he himself is a Nazi. Back in 2018, Musk claimed he was a socialist. By the way, I'm actually a socialist, not the kind that shifts resources from most productive to least productive, pretending to be good while actually causing harm. True socialism seeks greatest good for all. I mean, a socialist wouldn't say that. Oh, so these socialists today want to take resources from the productive to the unproductive. That is such an anti-socialist thing to say. Okay, Musk certainly isn't a socialist. He's the world's first trillionaire. All right, he's where he is because of capitalism, so he's not a socialist. However, I mean, he is a Nazi. Kevin, do you think this slop works? I mean, will people fall for the idea that the Nazis were left-wing socialists?
No, I don't think they will. And people really oughtn't take Elon Musk's view on political philosophy very seriously, considering he genuinely made the argument that Karl Marx was a capitalist because he wrote a book called Capital. I'm not making that up. That's a thing that he suggested. He's an idiot. If anything shows you that capitalism doesn't reward the best amongst us, but just rewards evil idiots, Elon Musk is the ground zero for that argument. Yeah, the usual argument that gets made here is that they have the word socialist in National Socialism. Firstly, one of the first groups within the Nazi movement they targeted were the what were called Strasserite socialists, the people who actually believed in the socialism of National Socialism. They were murdered. All of them. Pretty early on. So the idea that Hitler or Hitlerism, Nazism, was socialist is a little ridiculous. Just because it has the word in it, lads. All I'll say is, in that instance, right? Surely that urinal cake has the word cake in it, so tuck in, I guess. Or on the basis of Elon Musk saying that the word capital in a book title means that he was that Karl Marx was a capitalist. Presumably, therefore, Elon Musk is going to write a book called "Divorced Stupid Twat." I imagine. I don't know. But in terms of the actual arguments that were made in the original tweet, I think it's worth taking on those point by point because they're all massively fucking wrong. Firstly, the person says idpol, so identity politics, right? That's not a uniquely leftist thing at all. Identitarianism, in its various forms, has existed on the left, right, and centre for a very long time. As indeed Elon Musk would know, because Elon Musk is a massive racist. As indeed all right-wing people are to some degree or another. They just are. That's part of their thing. Modern Western conservatism is just white grievance culture. That's all it is. You can see it in the two-tier policing shit that they constantly keep going on about. They're just white grievance mongers. That's all. So in that case, every conservative is a socialist, apparently. Collectivism is just a stupid buzzword, really. They don't really ever define what that means, but surely if anything's collectivist, it would be the massive army that right-wingers love to jerk off over, or indeed nation-states, where you are collectively one peoples within a set of borders drawn on a map. But apparently that's fine and not collectivism because reasons. Statism, another sort of pointless, stupid buzzword. But for rightists in America who love Trump, a man who has begun to centralise the power of the American government into the hands of the presidency in a ridiculously unconstitutional way, is a bit ironic. Command economy. You can only realistically describe the Nazi state as a command economy during the total war production years of 1943 to 1945, which means for only 2 of the 12 years they were in power. Other than that, they were pretty capitalist. Literally, the word privatization, was invented in Nazi Germany to describe the way in which they sold off both public assets and indeed seized assets of people they murdered, of course, selling off to organisations and people of Aryan descent, obviously, because, racists, but private enterprise. That was it. They were privatisationists. Not at all command economyists, until they absolutely had to because total war, which is a thing that governments in wartime have done across all states. Would they also describe both the North and South during the American Civil War as command economy socialists? Because they did total war economy too. Just saying. Censorship, ridiculous. Literally the most ridiculous one of the lot, I think, because every single society that has ever existed has had censorship to one degree or another. You have the Federal Bureau of Censorship in the United States of America. That's a thing. Or the Federal Commission, I should say, for censorship in America. Is America socialist? Maybe. These people are crazy. Who fucking knows? Social engineering. America's very existence is a prime case of social engineering. You took people from 50 different nations across the world and slammed them into one country and tried to make a nationality out of it. It's an experiment in liberal capitalist democracy on a continent that had never seen anything like it before, including lots of genocides. Don't talk to me about how social engineering is a socialist concept, unless you think the founding fathers were also socialists, which I'm guessing you wouldn't claim. Militant activism, more meaningless buzzwords. Every single country that's ever existed has had people who believe in things and advocate for them strongly. So, just a meaningless nothing phrase. Gun control. Only in America is gun control politicised in this way. Conservative governments across all the rest of the world have enacted gun control to various degrees, and they don't have the school shootings that America has constantly. But that's just ignored by these people. And what's also ignored is the fact that there are gun laws in America all over the place. Is America also socialist? Maybe they would claim that because they're lying bastards. I don't know. Rule by law is a very strange one. Aren't conservatives, at least in theory, supposed to be the people who support the rule of law? Also, Hitler didn't live by law. Hitler lived by decree. He just made shit up as he went along. He had the Enabling Act for virtually the entirety of his premiership. He didn't live by law. What the fuck are you talking about? The politicisation of academia, judiciary, and civil service is where we reach the every accusation is a confession part of the proceedings. Because in America, you've had groups like the Heritage Foundation, the Council for National Policy, Project 2025, the Federalist Society, we could go on, who have all explicitly had the goal of politicising those exact same institutions for decades and have largely succeeded in doing so. And yet you want to claim that that process is socialist. Honestly, guys, the reckoning of these people would mean that virtually every society that's ever existed is socialist, including modern and old America. Or they're just full of shit.
I mean, they could have come up with better examples, at least to try and sort of feign some kind of faux argument, right? But that's okay. There's no argument. But the specific, like the rule of law one, it's funny to me because it's like, okay, if you're trying to convince people that Hitler was a socialist, right? Why would you use rule of law? Because most people go, rule of law sounds quite good, actually. I quite like having certain laws. I don't know who you're trying to convince with that one. But yeah, every state has fucking rule of law. And it's the right-wingers who really, really kind of ripped it from beneath it. I mean, of course, they don't believe in democracy. They believe in mob rule. That's what fascism is. You look at Trump again and you look at Hitler.
Yeah, there are similarities. And of course, I think we would be remiss to not notice that the Lebensraum concept and the concept of genociding those who are inferior and unworthy literally came from the Manifest Destiny policy of American governments, of all of the political parties who engaged in that during the 19th and 20th centuries. So America has a big role to play in all of that. But ultimately, what it comes down to is conservatives, especially in America, are so close to Hitlerite policy and politics that they have to pretend that actually that's left-wing and had nothing to do with us, even though they believe many of the same things that Hitler did.
But let's talk about the UK context. Of course, it's not as crazy as that over here, but you are hearing certain people... I mean, I hear Adam Brooks all the time call left-wing fascists. And, you know, the left are the new fascists. And I feel like there is a move from the right in the UK to try and muddy labels, muddy ideology, and kind of do something similar, which is that, well, actually, the left are the violent fascists.
Well, this has always been the case. They've always done this. The word libertarian once meant anti-state, anti-capitalist, and now it means like fucking Chicago boys, ultra free market nonsense. Also, like there's. I don't want to get into too much of a historical or historiographical rant here, but this person is clearly not a great understander of history, or the fact
clearly not.
You know, the concept that the past is a foreign country, right? That it's a completely different thing. The idea of the command economy. Virtually every pre-1980 government around the world, including the American government, would be command economy by today's standards, because the Thatcherite, Reaganite, neoliberal monstrosity, which has torn through the institutions of the world, has meant that the laissez-faire capitalism of the 19th century has basically come back. But on a sort of worldwide global communications level, you know, that's why you've got like a trillionaire, like literally the Gilded Age, the Great Gatsby of today could only they could only have dreamt of the kind of obscene wealth that they now have. The wealth disparity today dwarfs that of any time in human history. And so if you just go back to 1980 and before, every single government would be command economy. But this person doesn't fucking understand that, because they're not trying to make a good faith argument. They're just trying to smear somebody who has been used as an attack against their side for years, because they are on their side.
I find the inclusion of command economy quite interesting as well, because there is so much command economy, I think, today when it comes to corporations. We always hear from the right wing that capitalism's great because it's about markets and competition. The biggest proponents of a command economy are big corporates, because they want to control the entire market. They don't want competition. All right? They're not promoting that someone else makes a better product. No, they want to buy out these companies. So in fact, we've created more of a command economy because there's no democratic oversight over these corporations.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's nothing the capitalist hates more than a free market. Once they've won, they want to be able to choose to be the winners forever. Elon Musk has received billions from the US taxpayer. He's the biggest welfare queen in history. Or Jeremy Clarkson saying that welfare recipients should say thank you to the taxpayer. Well, I'm waiting for my fucking thank you, Jeremy. You've received £250,000 of government subsidy for your farm. I'll accept a text as thanks if you want to thank me as a taxpayer. You fucking arsehole.